Hi, my name is Naya Vapiwala. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Lena Hernandez.
Lena, so why don't you tell us what you do?
I am a high school teacher. I currently teach Spanish 2, 3, and 4 AP. I'm also the ELL chair for our campus at Gonzales High School.
Oh wow, that's great to hear. So in what area of English have you noticed that most of your ELL learners have the most difficulty?
They have the most difficulty when they can't understand and want the lessons to be translated to them by the teacher, and know that most of our teachers, even though they're English ESL certified, they can't speak Spanish, which is not a requirement for them. And in our campus, we have that's the only other language that we have currently is those that are Spanish speakers. Then they want you to not. The other problem is they don't want teachers to give them the same expectations that they would have of all their non-ELL students.
Understandably,
Yeah.
okay. So how does speaking a second language impact your ELL's cognition?
If they would really take the time to look at it, they could see how beneficial it would be to them. And most of them get it right away because, if you tell them, hey, look at the word, what does it look like? What does it look like in Spanish? Or what is it in Spanish? What does it look like in English? And they need to realize that those words is very beneficial to them, and use them.
Do you see a lot of similarities in English and in Spanish?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
there is. So how similar or different are bilingual and monolingual students?
On our campus, it's kind of like there's no middle.
There's no middle
We
ground.
have
Okay.
those students that are bilingual in speaking, meaning they can speak both language, but they don't realize how important it is. Like even your Spanish speakers, I can speak Spanish. I know Spanish, yes, but can you read and write it?
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. Well, that's just as important.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, well, I can't speak English too well, but I can read and write it. So they need to realize that it's important to be able to do all of it.
Yeah.
For both languages to be truly bilingual. And the monolingual kids are the ones that complain, why do I have to learn a second language? Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's what they're fussing about. And then some actually take advantage of it because they know that a second language will benefit them in the future.
Yeah. So do you think it is beneficial to know two languages?
I definitely, yes.
So what is one motivation that you use that actually works with your students?
One thing that as a teacher personally, I like to get to know the student, get to know, not be nosy with them, but get to know them. Hey, how do you learn the best? And what do you like to do? Just recently I had, an ELL student who loves soccer, of course, and that's a universal sport.
Yeah.
But he played football for the first time, and he realized he loved football, but he feels like if I go to football, I'm going to,
lose his interest in soccer.
Not lose the interest, but you lose respect from, from his people, so to speak. And I'm telling go all out for everything. Try everything. I have a very super smart ELL student who's a sophomore and is super smart but has no confidence that he could actually be valedictorian.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I won't. I'm like, yes, you're fourth in your class.
Yeah.
And y'all are all close. Y'all are sophomores. Get up there and get it done. And they lack the confidence. And I think that if they would just realize that it's okay that you're ELL. It's okay that your English is not perfect when you speak it, but go for it anyways.
Yeah, it's the attempt.
Right.
So, how familiar are you with motivation and its use as a role in a second language learning?
Motivating kids is just as important as what you're trying to teach them. Motivating them in their own interest, and then carrying that over to, hey, if you want to play soccer, if you want to go to college in soccer, you got to do the work in the classroom. You can't have one without the other. So hey, let's shoot for a passing grade, and then hey, we got the passing grade, let's shoot for a higher grade. And start off lower and then move your way up. And always telling them that hey, the two go together.
For sure.
Fight for your sport or whatever you want to do, and you have to realize that the academics is more important.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, and do well in that.
So, do you enjoy teaching ELL learners?
My very first job, I guess I have to go back to the point that I never really wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, okay.
When you live in a small town like Gonzales and you have a degree, you know, you kind of, the jobs are not very, there's not so many jobs for people. Yeah. So I became a teacher because I had a degree.
Yeah.
And I needed a job. So they said, we want you to teach. I had a degree in Spanish.
Okay.
So they said, we want you to teach ESL. And honestly, when they first told me that, I was like, what is ESL?
Yeah.
I didn't know it. And so then they told me, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. You know, it's going to go with my Spanish. And then, you know, I know English. I did well in English in high school. Fell in love with the kids.
Oh, okay.
I fell in love with the kids because, you know, I got to know them. I listened to their stories, how they, you know, came to this country. For some, it was so easy. For some, it was very difficult. And when I taught them, and this was junior high kids, they were very passionate about learning because they didn't want people to make fun of them. So they wanted to know English, and then they wanted to know. And then at junior high, the importance is, you know, how do I tell that boy I like him?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's
And
definitely
so
a
that
big
was
thing.
the cute thing, and saying, hey, you know, if you learn English, you can talk to
Do
them.
talk,
You know?
yeah.
And so it was just, I fell in love with them and their passion to learn. And then they went to, and that was just a strictly ESL class, and then they went to inclusion and
Yeah.
so, you know, that's when I moved up to the high school to teach Spanish.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
That's it.